we are looking here at the next idea for trig. Make sure that when you're looking at this idea, you have done everything that's been asked before you, right? So today, you were asked to make any kind of corrections on the first 10 questions. You were asked to complete the assignment from the last class. That was just a simple Canvas assignment and identifying opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. And then you're asked to do a follow-up assignment based on your performance on that first assignment. Those identifying assignments are both found on Canvas, and then they take you through a Delta Math portal. The next thing that we're going to do with trig is actually find some side links using the sine, cosine, tangent ideas. Now, what we're really going to be doing is just setting up a proportion. So let's start by doing that. Every single one of these problems, we're going to be setting it up this way, right? The first thing we're going to need to decide is what trig word we're going to use. The next thing is the angle measure that we have. This next thing is just the equal sign, and followed by the actual ratio. So again, I'm going to need to know what trig word it is, and then I'm going to set it up with those opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent type of words. All right? So let's look at this here. Excuse me. So I have this 42 here, right? So I know that the 42 has to be the angle measure, right? I want you to set this idea up every single problem, okay? I want you to set this up every single problem. Now, based on what I have here, the 42, I have an x and a 17. I need to decide which trig word has an adjacent and an opposite. That trig word is going to be tangent, right? So that's why it's so important to identify what trig word we need, because based on the information given, I have to decide to use the sine, the cosine, or the tangent. Now, because I said tangent, we know tangent is opposite over adjacent, and this is what we have. All right? So here is really the proportion that I have. I have a tangent of 42 equals 17 over x. The tangent of 42, or whatever trig word I have, could really just be put over 1. And think about it, I'm just cross multiplying. Now when I cross multiply, remember what you did on the front side. This is just a random decimal. Okay? So when when I multiply these together, I need to make sure that I have 1 times 17, right? So that's just 17. And then I have an x times the tangent of 42. One last reminder, that tangent of 42 is just a random decimal. So, in order to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by this random decimal. Different calculators work differently. Let me go ahead and pause this video and grab my handy dandy calculator. I'm back. So when I have this here, all I'm going to do is type this into the calculator. For certain calculators, you can clearly see what's on the top, what's on the bottom. Right here, I just need to be very clear that I have 17 divided by the tangent of 42. Okay? Remember, this tangent of 42 is a random decimal. So instead of typing it in, trying to memorize that number, let's just keep it tangent 42. It looks like x is 18.88. Looking at what that is, that identifies most closely to B. All right? Okay, let's take a look at another one here. Let's see. I'm looking for something very specific. Let's take a look at 14. When I look at 14 again, I need to make sure that I have identified the trig word, the angle. I need to also then identify what those two symbols are, right? So we know the angle is clearly going to be 49. The angle is clearly going to be 49. And let's go ahead and stand on that 49 and let's see, okay, so I have the x and the 15. X is adjacent, 15 is a hypotenuse. The word that corresponds with adjacent and hypotenuse is the cosine right there. Every time I do a cosine, that's adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent side is x and the hypotenuse is 15. Again, one last reminder, this is really just a proportion. The difference here with this question compared to number 11 is that notice the position of the x, right? When I set this up, now notice how things multiply. I have x times 1, and I have 15 times the cosine of 49. When I think of these trig words, these are order of operations, right? Remember I said this is a random decimal, so this is like the first thing that has to be done. Okay? Don't take 15 times 49. That would be going out of order for order of operations. So I have 15 times cosine of 49. And it looks like I have a 9.84. That means the length of that side of the triangle is 9.84. Again, that's just an approximation. And right here, it looks like I do have that answer. All right, let's try a couple more here. Notice the first 5 have multiple choice on your backside, same as mine. The others, 16 through 20, don't, right? But I still want you to do this every single time. Make sure you tell me what trig word you're going to use. Tell me what angle. And then, once you've decided that, let's go ahead and write a proportion. We'll do 2 more, like I said. So, right here on number 16, it looks like it's a tangent of 42, and that's an x on top and a 16 on bottom. So the tangent of 42 over 1 is really x over 16. Again, if we just multiply what we have here, it's the same as x equals 16 times the tangent of 42. This is where we just pull up that handy-dandy calculator. And you can hit times. You don't even have to hit times. If you just were to hit tangent here, it would technically be the same thing as the multiplication. 14.4 is the same as 14.4. So it works the exact same. So there it is, x equals 14.4. And that would be my answer for number 16 right here. Let's do one more here. One more. Let's think about this here. I'm thinking the best one for us, just to even kind of space it out a little bit, let's try number 19. If we're looking at number 19 again, have we done this one? We have, well, let's try number 18 then. Number 18 is going this way here. Again, we need a trig word. We need our angle measure. And we need to create that. Well, because it's 71, it looks like it's going to be opposite over opposite over hypotenuse. So that's 12 over x. So the sine of 71 equals 12 over x. And remember that sine of 71 is just over 1. So again, I could cross multiply. And now I need to get the x by itself, so I'm just dividing by this random number. Sine of 71 in the calculator is just a random decimal. Again, you need to put the division sign here, right? 12 sine of 71 is not the same thing as if I were to put a division sign in there. So make sure when it's actually division, you do divide it. 12.69 x equals 12.69 or 12.7. Again, that's for number 18 right there. All right, so here's what I want you to do. You have 10 questions to actually look at. Make sure that these are done by the end of the period so we can look at them and we can keep pushing forward. All right? Great job, and keep getting better.